Welcome to Well, That Didn't Work, a podcast where a group of friends gets together to pretend to be other people, creatures, and things, doing things that mostly don't work out for them. I'm your host and your GM. My name is Percy, and with me I've got Mike.
I'm Udell. Well, he's a little on the peep side.
Chris.
I'm playing Varadorkhan, and stuff's about to happen.
Jason.
Lucia is just wondering who she has to punch in the face.
And Rick.
Kaklik has finally found his brother and doesn't quite know how he's going to accomplish what he knows is a mountain.
Last time on Urban Stars, we met Norris kind of for real for the first time. And Udell got the brunt of that. After their encounter, he and Lucia had their own little scene where Lucia was kind of in a mid-decision on whether or not and how much to trust Udell. And thankfully she let him live. It's kind of nice. Very hospitable of her. And then Varho and Kaklik worked to connect Kaklik back to his brother using the Force. And it worked. And Kaklik saw a vision of his brother being essentially held captive and somewhat tortured by Empirico. Empirico being a massive pit boss who was wearing a gigantic set of blue armor with a white cape and a golden crate dragon etched onto his chest piece. Upon hearing this information, Lugnug declared that Empirico, in his act of trusting the Empire too much, had declared war on the other pits, and he sent Luica to talk to the Baron. Now, as we start today, any crits you have are still active, but any wounds or strain are healed. This particular next couple of sessions is going to look a little bit different. We're still in the middle of Kaklik's essentially double obligation. So Kaklik, you have 4 less temporary strain.
4 or 2?
4, because we rolled it as if I rolled the double on the dice.
Well, that.
And everybody else has 2 less temporary strain. And we're rolling with that until we resolve this obligation.
So when I need my strain the most, I won't have it until I don't need the strain anymore, and then I get it back.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the point. So I also, before we get started with the story, I gave each of you guys a certain amount of credits to spend. Don't share how many credits that was right off the bat. I think it was the same for everybody, but that part doesn't really matter because they said you can't keep any excess credits, so spend as much as you can. But I do want to go around and have you guys tell me what exactly you picked up. So, Mike, let's start with you. What did you pick up with your credits that I gave you?
So, knowing that he went down the martial artist tree, I needed a melee weapon for right now because I haven't gone far enough to get unarmed parries. Okay? So, I went with a stun baton. Okay, a non-lethal, combat option. He does have a blaster, but I went with a stun baton. But to use the rest of those credits up, I ended up getting what is called a stun pulse.
Okay.
Because it can go on to any brawl or melee that is a bludgeoning type of weapon. So what that does, and I went ahead and purchased the two upgrades against it. So what that's going to do is that if I get 2 advantage on my melee roll, in addition to the stun damage and strain that it's already causing, it will proc another 4 points of stun on top of it.
So it gives it a stun 4 quality.
Yes.
Awesome. That's excellent. That's a lot of strain damage.
Yes,
awesome.
It is. Well, he's all about defending himself. That's it.
Exactly. And he knows he's about to be in the poop, as it were. Chris, what'd you pick up?
I bought a blaster, so I actually have a ranged weapon to defend myself with. I got 2 packets of burning gel, and I replaced the 2 stim packs I've used so far.
Okay, awesome. Jason, what'd you pick up?
So I picked up a kind of specialized weapon that I knew Lugnug had. It's called a Lornar Cryoband pistol. We're kind of sort of modifying it because that's what you told me to do.
Yeah, we're making it a pistol. We took the Cryoband rifle, took 2 Pierce off of it, and made it a pistol.
Correct.
But
So-
everything else is exactly the same.
Correct. So basically, it's got the ability to ensnare. It's got Pierce 3. It does only stun damage. It's based off the range light skill. So if someone is wearing armor that already provides reduced setbacks from cold damage, it doesn't do any of the pierce. But if they're not wearing any protective gear against it, it does the full pierce value. 6 stun damage, 2 crit.
Oh no, it's no crit. Yeah, there's no crit to that weapon
There's no crit on that weapon.
at all.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because you're not actually hitting anybody with a projectile or anything. You're just freezing them in place.
Yep. Okay.
Ooh, Mr. Freeze.
Exactly.
Range medium, encumbrance 2, hit points 1. And if anybody in the same round hits them with a melee hit, they get 2 boost die.
Yep. Awesome. And Rick, I really like what you picked up. What'd you get?
Well, I bought some burning gel because I figure there's places we're going to have to get into.
You can never have
And-
too much burning, Joe.
Absolutely. And I picked up some detonite.
Because there
Because-
might be armored places we have to get into.
Yeah, or we might have to plant, distractions or who knows what. And I didn't purchase everything because I needed to see if anybody had enough encumbrance to carry another pack of detonite. I don't know if everybody's encumbered out or not because it's heavy stuff.
Yeah, if you've got a couple like 50 more credits, you can buy like a duffel bag that you can carry it in your hand with,
Well, but
if you would like.
I bought a disguise kit because I'm a Verpine, which stands out like a sore thumb, and so I can't easily be recognized. So in order for me to get on this place, I can't walk around as a Verpine. So I had to spend the credits to get, and that's encumbered. That takes encumbrance. And I figure we'll discuss what the best disguise will be depending on our plan of attack. But I purchased that, and I purchased a vest, which gives you a boost to encumbrance. So I got an extra 2 encumbrance there in order to carry the detonite. And I upgraded my pistol, basically brought it back from, we downgraded a bunch. It's a Verpine weapon, which, doesn't do a whole lot, but they're very expensive. But it would have been issued by, I'm a Verpine military, so it just only made sense that I would have a Verpine weapon. And so we had downgraded it, and I spent some to bring it a little bit back. And I bought stim packs. So, if anybody has encumbrance left, it takes 2 encumbrance to carry the detonite. Otherwise, I'll buy a couple more stim packs.
I'm carrying almost nothing. I can carry that.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
So, I'll buy
So
one
just
more.
FYI, I almost bought 20 Gungan energy balls. You're welcome for that joke.
You should have. Because why wouldn't you? B, I think the cryo gun is better.
Agreed.
I'd like to change what I bought, please.
Actually,
How
take a
much
look.
money do you give us?
Take a look
How
at the.
many energy balls can I get?
In the future, take a look at the goo gun with the upgrades on it.
Oh,
and
no,
then tell me about it.
The goo gun. Okay, cool. So the Gungan goo gun. No? Okay. We're moving on.
It's the pornography.
Oh, and I did spend all of my XP, so.
Oh, you spent all your XP.
I
Okay.
figured I have to.
Well, we'll get pretty soon. We'll get to another training session, and hopefully you'll have some more built up by then.
Hopefully.
Otherwise, it's going to be a real interesting session for you. You'll get to do some real role playing. So, all right. Where do I start?
With the shortcakes.
With the shortcakes. So, Kuklik and Varho, you are sitting more crouched in a dark storage closet in one of the kind of Imperial shuttle bays. You've used your disguises and your know-how of like law enforcement and things to be able to get into this area in the first place, and by sheer dumb luck you made it into this storage container that is directly behind a Lambda class shuttle in the one of the hangar bays here on Terrace, and you've been told basically when things start going down, when Lugnug gives the clear go-ahead for the attack, the first thing that's going to happen is important personnel here in the lower city and middle city are going to be evacuated up to the Star Destroyer, and that will be your chance to get there while most of the troops are gone. Now, Lugnug is not sending you with any extra help, no squad members, nothing like that. But Kuklik, he said that he would, at the very least, find a way to get you up there, and this was his best personal bet. Varho, you, I'm assuming, have agreed to come along to help protect your friend, and to see, what you can see up there.
Absolutely.
So you're sitting in this dusty, dark, essentially container room, and basically when you hear the klaxons begin to go off, you're going to race out and try to board the Lambda shuttle in one way or another. Now, we're going to go ahead and flash back. This is where you're sitting currently.
Got you.
So that part won't be able to change. Now, what you're doing beyond this point will.
Okay.
So we're going to flash back to you, Kuklik. I'm going to give you a couple of options, and I want you to pick the one that you think is best for the way you think you would want to approach the Star Destroyer.
Okay.
Like I said, this is going to be, as far as the Star Destroyer is concerned, the safest way for you to get on board. Is going to be when the fighting ensues and the Imperial TIE fighters approach Terrace to provide air support. Like, that's if the Empire is really in league with Empirico, that will happen, and at that point it'll be kind of essential personnel on the Star Destroyer only. So that'll be the best option for you. Now, you can either approach the Lambda shuttle the way that he talked about. You can try to contact Dr. Hunt, the person who trained you in slicing, or you can see if you can get the other Verpine that's in Lugnug's facilities to try to help you in some way if you think that he has a better understanding of what might be able to help.
Is it possible to get some forged papers that would basically give us passage? Because one of the things I was thinking is that I could be disguised as a protocol droid, and you could, since you really don't carry weapons and stuff, you could go as some sort of, not necessarily a dignitary, but some rich person that would be, transported up to the Star Destroyer, and then we could, find our ways. Because I've been trying to think of what kind of disguise would fit a Verpine, and some sort of droid I think would probably be the most logical.
All right. Chris, I think you know somebody that you might be able to find some credentials from.
Maybe, yeah.
So do you want to visit your old kind of adoptive family and see if you can swipe some credentials out of their home?
Sure.
Or would you like to not potentially slight them at this point in time? I'm going to kind of leave that up to you. That's just kind of the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily want to slight them because they were good to me when I needed help, so I don't really want to slight them too much. But that doesn't mean they might not be able to help in some fashion.
Okay. So maybe go have an actual conversation with them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So you guys are sitting in this chamber, and we're going to flash back to this conversation that you've gone in preparation for trying to find the easiest, best way to get on the Lambda shuttle. You thought that your family might be able to help. And so you're sitting across from the brother whose life you saved, which is why they initially accepted you into their home, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he's the only one in the room. The parents are gone doing, their jobs, their other things. The only people here are you and the housekeepers and other droids in the house. So, how do you approach them?
Okay. Hey, Samson, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has, Vaho.
You keeping out of trouble?
Well, I'm doing my best. I do a lot better when you're around, but, I don't get caught as much now.
Well, that's good. That's really, really good to hear, because I kind of need to get in trouble now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What kind of trouble are we talking?
I need to get up at that Star Destroyer.
Whoa. Why?
I need papers that say I'm supposed to be there.
Why do you need to get on the Star Destroyer?
Because I need to help another friend the way that I helped you. They're in trouble.
All right, go ahead and roll just a quick negotiation. Now, I'm gonna steal a little bit out of another game for this, just to give kind of a heads up to anybody listening. We're gonna use what's called a progress clock for most of the things that are gonna go on in these flashbacks, in which basically I've got a set number of successes that you need in order to make something happen.
Okay.
And now each success that you roll in a check is going to count towards that. Now you've got rapport with Samson.
I do
already, so go ahead and take 2 boost die for the
Ooh,
roll.
that's helpful.
Yes.
2 blue to my 2 green.
Vargo's strong point wasn't really negotiation,
No.
but you've got some rapport with him, and it's going to be average because you're kind of getting him in his sweet spot. He likes getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Unlike Udell, who just happens to get into
right.
trouble.
So I got some symmetry here. I got 2 greens, 2 purples, and two blues.
All right.
A success with a threat. And
All right.
a lot of blank faces on here.
Well, you succeed.
I
so
do.
that's one success. So so you convince him that he does owe you.
Mm-hmm.
But how much he owes you is still kind of up in the air. So take a strain. You can see kind of as he's mulling around, you're wondering if this is going to work out the way that you need for it to.
Okay.
And so he kind of chews on his lip a little bit. And he looks down at his shoes and looks back up at you and says, I don't know if I can get you on the destroyer, but you did help me, so what can I do?
Well, I know if there's any kind of trouble on the ground, a lot of times people will be evacuated to a safer spot. I need to be considered one of those people.
Are we expecting
So-
trouble on the ground soon?
Not real trouble, but something may happen. This sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. Roll either deception or skullduggery. Skullduggery will be the easier check because he'd be into that. But deception would kind of keep his name a little clearer, as it were.
Well, it's the same die roll either way.
All right, so if it's the same die roll,
Yeah.
you're still going to get your 2 boosts. You still got the rapport with him.
Okay.
But the question that you've got to kind of ask is, do you want him to tag along or not? Because if you're appealing to his nefarious ways, then that may be an easier discussion to have. But if you want him to stay out of it, that'll be a little bit more difficult to convince him, like, this is too dangerous for you, but it's not too dangerous for me, who's the same age.
Actually, he's older than I am.
Oh, is he older? Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go with deception then. We'll try to
Okay,
keep
deception.
him
So yeah, it'll be a
out of
hard
the way.
check.
Yeah.
But you still get the 2 boosts.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend a story point to upgrade?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So
I think this is my first upgrade.
It's a good time for it.
Do we or do we not have to roll a force die?
oh, we do. Yeah, you need to roll a force die along with it.
Oh. Do I roll 2 because I have 1 force rating already?
No. Just
Okay.
it's a dark side.
Yep, it's the dark side.
All right. What did you get on the roll?
All right. I got 2 successes.
2 successes. No
Yep.
threat or anything.
Nope, they all canceled out.
Okay. So you convince him for the time being that you've got to help somebody like you helped him, and nothing's going to happen nearby. Nothing's going to put him in actual danger. You're just going to use it as kind of a smokescreen. And at that point, his mother walks in for lunch. Oh, Varho, we weren't expecting you really anytime soon. How have you been?
I've been great, thank you. It looks like everything's going well here.
Well, it seems like everything's going well, and she her eyes dart over to Samson, and he looks like he's getting into trouble. So go ahead and roll a deception check alongside of him. You guys are now like you've probably done this before,
We're
where
conspiring together now?
yeah, where he's getting into trouble and you're trying to make it look like everything's fine. So he's got a deception skill of 3,
Okay.
which will help you out quite a bit.
Yes, it will.
But it is going to be a hard check, and you don't have the same rapport with the mother that you do with him.
No,
so it's
I
actually going to have 1 setback
Okay.
added to it.
All right, so he's got 2 ranks in that, so that gives me 2 yellow, 3 purple, and a black. Is that right?
2 yellow and a green.
And a green. Okay.
Yes, because he's got a rank 3 in the skill, and you have 2 in your cunning.
All right. Nope, that did not go so well. Just 1 single threat.
1 single threat? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not a bunch of failure.
No, it's not.
But she now kind of picks up on something. And just to be clear for everybody, the reason we did the force die and everything like that is because when we started this story with Kiklik's brother, we introduced the force vergence of Terrace, which basically anytime a point is spent, a force die gets rolled. And depending on the result of that force die roll, more points get spent and the effects have to be spent right then. So that's why the mother entered the room. So 1 threat, you're going to take a strain because she picks up on whatever it is, but she doesn't confront you guys right now. It seems like she's going to probably talk to you once you guys are done. So she is going to move into the kitchen to start, ordering her food from the droids or housekeepers or whoever would make it. But she leaves the door open and she stays close by so that she can listen.
Okay.
So you are only 1 success away from making this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you want to say at this point? So you've convinced him that things are going to be safe for him. Nothing big is going to go down, but something might happen, and when it does, you want to be ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't recommend coming with me, but if something does happen down here, you might be in good space to benefit from it. I maybe could help you with that.
Help me with what? What do you think I could benefit from that might send you to the Star Destroyer?
Let's talk over here.
Okay.
We move away from the door a little bit, and
So kind of you move
Yeah.
as if you're kind of leaving.
yeah. And I don't quite know how to phrase it, bring it up, but I kind of want to bring in, maybe betting on pit fighting might be a little easier or something like that if he...
So he
yeah.
does. You've got an idea that he's a bit of a gambler.
So I know he does like to do crazy things sometimes, and gambling is one of the things that he does, so I might be able to be in a position to make it easy for him to...
You've got an in with a pit, and you can
Yeah.
help him. Okay, cool. So roll a negotiation again with 3 boosts this time.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to be same as the last negotiation check you made.
Okay. So it's 3 blues this time, 2 purples, and 2 greens.
Yes, and I'm going to flip a dark side point because the mother is still nearby.
Okay.
She might hear you, which means I need to roll a force die. And another dark side point goes over. The dark side is not you guys' friend today.
Yeah, it never
So
was.
we'll go ahead and use that as another upgrade.
Upgrade
So you
for
have
me?
No, for me.
Okay. So 2 reds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted the dark side to be rolled.
All right, here we go. 2 despairs. Nope, just 1. So that cancels that out. That cancels that. But 3 successes, 2 advantages, and the despair.
Whoa.
That's rough. So he definitely is into this idea of helping you for this. So as you're walking toward the door, he opens a drawer and pulls out a little kind of almost like it's similar to a Motorola flip phone and hands it to you and says, this should get you on board.
All right.
Listen, Varho, I don't know how to tell you this, but Dad's sick.
Sick? Sick how?
Yeah, that's kind of why he's not here right now. We've been saying he's been at work, but he's dying.
Dying?
And honestly, like, that's why I've been doing the pits so much. We need help paying for it. We're losing help left and right. We had to sell 2 of our droids. If there's anything that you can do anytime, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Let me resolve this, and I'll come back, and we'll talk more. We'll see what can be done.
Thanks so much, Varho. And he, without kind of waiting or asking, hugs you really tight.
I hug him back.
And you kind of feel him sob a little bit, and then he lets you go and says, good luck with whatever you're doing. Stay safe and come back.
Be strong. I'll be back.
All right, you get to leave. And we'll end that extremely emotional despair. And so we'll camera pan, screen wipe to Udell. Udell, you are sitting outside of a massive complex that we would think looks very Greco-Roman. It's essentially a coliseum. This is the outer complex of Empirico's fighting pit. And you're by yourself right now. You're kind of leaning with your back against one of the pillars as you kind of look out at the streets, and you're surveying what kinds of people are coming in and out. You're trying to get a gauge on what the civilian life is like, how many of these people might be actually guards that are in disguise, and things like that. A little bit of recon work before Lugnug tries to assault this place. And so you sit there and think, and how are you dressed? Now, cosmetically, the outfits are whatever you want it to be. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll give you any mechanical benefit if you haven't purchased it. But how do you want to be dressed in this moment?
Well, I to be honest, Udell would be probably just, standard tan trousers, some nondescript kind of shirt with maybe a little bit of he does wear padded armor, so it's probably something that's a little bit bulkier, kind of a little bit loose fitting, and then has maybe a small vest that sits over it. But in general, he'd be as much like everyone else as possible, because he does understand this is blending in.
All right. So you're sitting, kind of maybe looking at your hands as you're looking out, and we'll flash back to you and Lugnug and Darrett in kind of an offside chamber, and Lugnug is talking to you while Darrett's helping you pick out this outfit. So I know you don't work for me, technically, Udell. But I saw the video of you in my pit. You've been training. What for?
Well, if you saw the video, then you know I can't rely on anybody but myself to protect me. My only friend turned on me.
Udell, I think that there's more to yourself than you want to know about. Very few battles, truly, are won by blasters and swords and fists. Most are won by the people organizing the soldiers. I was a commander myself in the Gamorrean armies before the Hutts nearly wiped out my troop. That's why I hate them so much, and why I stay as far away from Hutt space as I can. In that process, I learned the benefit of wisdom, the benefit of knowledge, over the benefit of a blaster. And I think you know that benefit too. You just use it in such a foolish way.
From time to time. But we all gotta talk our way out of something sometime. Sometimes it just doesn't go right.
That's true.
And that's why you need a blaster.
Agreed. You see the dagger that I carry. And he pulls out the dagger that he had been scraping on his leg while you guys were telling him about Empirico. This blade is not a reminder of who I was, or even who I wish I could be, and he sheathes it again. This dagger is a reminder that my words reach much further than my arms. Would you consider befriending a group of my soldiers and helping them to infiltrate?
Lugnug, how would this, and I have to ask, how would this help me get even with Norris?
I don't think that Norris is your problem. I think he's a problem, and we will deal with him. I think your problem runs deeper, and I think you know it too. I'm starting to sound more and more like fake Yoda.
No, you sound good. The voice sounds good. If you start going to will you say or things
I'm going to
like
keep
that,
him
then
going
you're
until he
trouble.
goes hoarse.
That's basically what I'm trying to do. You know that the problem runs deeper than one man. And he pulls out a pin from his pocket with the symbol that he saw you eyeing on his desk. This used to be a symbol for justice or some other crap on this planet. Now it's a symbol for the fighting pits. He kind of tosses it on the ground in front of you. The Nemoidian people used to be a symbol of fairness throughout the galaxy. And now you're just a gambler, hiding in the lower pits of Terrace, an underwater, backwater planet on the edge fringe of the galaxy. Is that all you want to be?
Of course it's not all I want to be. This is a means to an end. And the only means that I understand how to do is what I've been doing.
What's the end? I don't know if you're ready to
Status.
answer that question. Yeah, Lugnug's going to make you, though.
Status.
What do you mean by status?
Enough's happened in my past that the only way for me to go home is for me to go home in an untouchable status. So, it can't be something petty, something little. My people only know riches, they only know fame, they only know what you can take and what you can get from other people. Yes, if you want to call fairness the Trade Federation, I worked for them. Still, they're greedy. But the only thing my people really truly understand, instead of power, is wealth, privilege, status.
I can't promise that you'll get any of that. But I can promise that your people will never touch you again. If you will link arms with me, if you pick up that pin, there will be no going back, Udel. And there will be no pain without purpose for you anymore.
Udell's going to stand there for a minute. He's really going to have some deep thought.
Yeah, you want to roll some discipline?
What discipline? I think we established this last time.
He shouldn't be rolling dice.
versus what?
Well, what do you think would be a more apt role for this? Survival, a knowledge check. What do you think is holding Udell back at this point? What is the thing that's causing him to think right now?
Lugnug.
So maybe he needs to roll survival.
You just roll a lugnug check.
Knowledge, Lugnug.
I don't think it's necessarily, because survival is usually used for, out in the wilderness,
Yeah,
right?
right.
I think this is probably, and I think this is more of a does cooler heads prevail here?
Yeah. Okay.
So a cool check?
Yeah.
Go for cool.
I mean, because it's more of a, is he kind of grasping on to what's being said?
Yeah. Let's go for cool then. And I think it's going to be a fairly difficult check, and this is kind of like to determine, do you choose or do you go off the handle about, like, I know who I am, you don't know me barely at all. Like, that's kind of the thing that I'm thinking that the failure would represent at this point. Would be the difference in you getting to choose and you belligerently going for something, one way or the other.
Okay.
So it's kind of your role is going to determine the way you react. You still get to determine how, like, what you end up doing, but this role is going to determine your attitude about it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So we're going to do one red and one purple.
Okay. Well, that is going to be a fail with 4 advantage.
Okay, great. So what kind of a choice do you want to make? And you have to, regardless of whether it's join Lugnug or kind of stay a little solo, as it were. Either way, you have to react poorly.
Okay. Let me see now. How to react poorly with this.
You're really going to stretch us in this one.
So many options.
I told you, man. This is going to be a different kind of episode.
So I think Udell actually steps on the coin, on the symbol, and kind of covers it with his foot, looks Lugnug in the face, and says, "How can you stand here and guarantee me my people will never touch me just because I pick up a coin?"
I can't guarantee you'll never be touched, but I can guarantee you that if they do, it won't be without purpose. It won't be...
Well, it seems like everybody in my life has a purpose to come after me.
Not me. If you leave here, it's no skin off my back. I don't know you, you don't know me. I've just witnessed and can acknowledge who I think you have potential to be.
And what is that?
A leader. A warrior. Someone who can befriend even the most unlike them. And get them to do what he wants.
I'm a liar and a cheater, sir.
That's what I said.
And how do you think that's leadership quality? Is that how you lead your people?
Yes.
Then why the hell would I trust you?
You wouldn't any more than I trust you right now.
So you're saying we're on even ground?
I'm saying that if I wanted you dead, you'd already be there.
Get in line.
And I'll tell you, it's a long line.
It is a long line. Well,
Of course, that would be something, you wouldn't have that line anymore.
so is this a denial to join me?
How about I'll help you with what you have now? And let's have this conversation when this is done. When I know that when my back's against a wall, I can lean on you and trust you.
Fair enough.
And I'll pick up the coin and flip it back over to him.
He catches it, and Darrett looks up from the corner he was kind of cowering in during this conversation. He swallows real deep. I don't think the microphone will catch it. I tried.
Just thump it.
Yeah. He swallows real deep and says, I think that your outfit's going to need this. And he holds up a scarf that looks more ornate than you would probably want it to. If you're going to be in the middle city, you should at least look the part.
It's not like I'm not used to wearing fine robes at some point in time.
He tosses it to you because he can't reach to like put it over your head.
All right, I'll take it.
All right, and so we cut back to you leaning on this pillar, watching these people, and go ahead and make me a perception check.
All right.
If you don't have any ranks, it's just cunning.
Oh, I have ranks.
Okay, cool.
What's the difficulty?
Difficulty is going to be hard with 1 red.
Wow. All right. Well, I succeed the shit out of this one. Sorry for the language, but
Made it.
yeah, pretty much.
What you
got? I have 5 successes and 3 threat.
Wow. So you make 3 people in the crowd who you recognize as immediately being guards of some kind for this facility. Not only have their eyes darted up to see you a few times, but you can briefly see as the wind blows the scarves that they wear. They've got a tattoo of a crate dragon on the right breastbone. And so you can see very clearly these are Empiricos people. And so you kind of touch your ear to your comlink that's connected immediately to Lucia, and you let her know that you found these guys. So please do that.
Lucia. This is Udell. Come in.
Lucia here.
I'm outside of Empiricos, and there are 3 guards, all with crate dragon symbols on them, patrolling.
And how big of a space?
You've seen them each individually in about a 30-minute time span circling around, so it looks like they're going around the entire building.
Okay. It's just a perimeter walk.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on them.
All right, and then we're going to pan kind of from Udell, kind of through the comlink, through the radio waves, and into Lucia's ear, who is in a darkened air vent above Empirico's office, waiting to kind of bust in and look for intel. Lucia, I don't think we need necessarily a big flashback for you, but if you would like to have a brief conversation with Lugnug before being here, we can do that. What do you think?
I think it would be necessary.
Okay. So you kind of have your hands on the grating, ready to kind of push through, and we'll kind of go into your flashback sequence of you speaking with Lugnug. Lucia, you know I'm a superstitious person.
No more so than I am. We've known each other for about a year, and you can tell, and he can probably see Luke is still kind of visibly shaken from the last night's events. This all just seems so circumstantially obvious that they're setting us up. Something's going on.
My thoughts exactly. I trust the Force. I trust the bug. But I don't trust that Empirico has no idea that it's happening.
I can't trust anybody because after what happened last night, I don't even know, other than the way Udell's reacting, it clearly seems like he and his compatriot are no longer together unless they're playing the long con. And you and I have seen a few long cons.
We've seen a few. What I need for you to do, Lucia, is confirm Empirico's alliance with the Empire.
I'm right there with you.
And we pan for the first time to kind of the back of Lucia, and she's got her hair moved, and on that back collar of her neck, we see a pin with 3 swords, each of varying sizes. And so we know at this moment that Lucia knows what that pin means and what the loyalty of it means, and that pin represents an ancient symbol of peace and justice on Terrace from the time of the Jedi, before the place was settled and built into a city, when it was mostly wilderness and villages. And this symbol has been co-opted now by these pits to represent a forming rebellion on Terrace that Lucia has been wrapped up in for probably about 4 months at this point. Not a super long time. You've only been with Lugnug for a year, but you've proven your trust for long enough that he offered you kind of a seat at that table.
Low-end lieutenant, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so you know the weight of Empirico aligning himself with the Empire, because Empirico was at the meeting where you were inducted. You know at least what his armor looks like, if not the person himself. Right. He was probably not actually present. It was very like Star Wars chamber meeting where everybody's a hologram, but you've seen his likeness.
Well, and I probably fought in his pit maybe once or twice.
Oh, for sure you fought in his pit.
And he's probably been here to see one of his fighters fight in Lugnug's. Yeah, I mean, he's...
Exactly. So you know the gravity of it. You know what it would mean for the pits. Because if the pits go to war, that will almost immediately illegitimize pit fighting. And it'll become an underground ring again. The legalization of pit fighting will go away.
My cover would go away.
Your cover would go away. Like, there are a billion things that would happen, and none of them are good for you or for the rebels. And so he kind of tilts his head backward, takes off his comically small glasses, and says, I don't want to send you to do it, but I think you're the only one that can. We've got to get into Empirico's office, find any information that he's trading or communicating with the Empire. As soon as you do, we launch the attack.
Done.
Cool. And we'll pan back into Lucia, her hands on the grating of an empty office. A jammer in her hand that had been given to her by Lugnug. She attaches it to the metal of the air vent, which shuts off any cameras that might be in the room. You snap off that grating and drop into the office, crouched. And that's where we'll end our session today. Thanks so much for listening. And join us right now. As you're listening to this, there is an after party on Patreon. If you're donating at $2 a month or more, you get access to all of our after parties, and it's going to be a chance for you to listen to us talk about what's going on, because a lot is going on.
We got to figure out what's going on.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about and suss through before we can really begin this assault, and so that'd be a great place for you to join us. We hope to see you next week. But for now, bye, and keep adventuring.
Adios.
Good night.